Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first TechSparks Pandemic Edition. I am Agnibha, and this is my masterclass. Today, we are going to talk about 7 laws of email spam. As a marketer, spam still remains as one of the first terms that tickles your mind when you think about emails, right? Uh, as one of the most important or most difficult cat and mouse chases in the world, it still remains as an unsolved problem for a lot of email marketers out there. Uh, and I say this by experience. So, understanding and avoiding spams for your emails still remains a relevant topic after so many years of email and so many years of publicly available free emails for you like Yahoo, Gmail, and Outlook. So, coming to my introduction, I'm Agnibha Nath. I'm a co-founder at SendX. I head the email marketing deliverability and customer support in the company. I've seen customers for the last 4.5 years almost, uh, and have talked to more than 4,000 companies in this due time, and with more than 50 tech startups in India. Some of them might be in this TechSparks crowd as well. So a big shout out to them. Yeah, so let's start with an interesting email that I stumbled upon on my spam box the other day. So this mail, if you see, right, it has the subject, "Hi Agni, vote for me," and it was from Donald J. Trump, and somehow it landed on my spam box, so I was interested. I have never been a U.S. citizen, so it got me all the more interested in looking into the details of it, because this looks like something that in the email world we would call as a phishing attack, where somebody is posing as you, right, and sending out random emails to a lot of people and expecting some kind of reward. So the call to action here in this mail was a link that was leading to an affiliate page for some reason. I don't know why, but this was like a clickbait, right? And the biggest giveaway, or the point that made me realize that this was definitely a spam mail or a phishing mail, was the via sparkpost.com. So basically, it is not coming from the White House directly, but somebody is using a tool to send these mails, and is able to upload probably a lot of emails on this tool, and is able to send these mails, right? So nobody in the world is void of this problem, as in anybody can pose as you online, send out emails and ask for anything like ransom. In fact, a lot of people in the Indian tech space have come to forums and asked for the problems with emails, and one of those problems seem to be that somebody poses as the CEO of the company, and he's asking for some loan from this other person, which then becomes a worry that somebody would have hacked their email ID or something like that. But this is not a hack. This is a legitimate phishing attack that can happen, right? So let's get into the problem that we are talking about in the world of email spam. There is the problem of your identity theft. There is the problem of legitimate mails going into spam. So let me just tell you why I went to my spam box to check the emails in the first place. There was an email supposed to be giving me the tracking details of a shipment, and I had never received it. So I had to call the customer support, and they told me that they had sent an email. I never got it, and I had to check the spam box, and the mail was there, right? This this then is not just a problem of identity theft. The spam problem also becomes worrisome for all email marketers out there who are sending legitimate mails and are expecting they would land in your inbox and you would get notified about problems. What if it was something even more major, right? Instead of just a shipment delivery, it might have been something more important or more urgent. So a lot of not so spammy emails also get into your spam box, and that is something to really worry about. And the problem with it is the more you grow, the more mails you send, and the more mails end up in the spam box. So this becomes a pain for any email marketer out there, and yeah, this is a very common problem amongst people sending out mails. So and it doesn't just remain within the marketing team; it goes cross functions. As in, your sales team can get affected with it, not being able to follow up with your customers, and your personal mails a lot of times can go into spam. I remember uh, in our first year when we had no idea of what email spam and deliverability was. Uh, uh, some of my own personal mails were going into our customer spam boxes, uh, which I never realized until they informed me that I received your other co-founders' mail in my inbox, but I never received yours, which then becomes a major problem for anybody in your company, right? So it's pan company problem and not just a problem for your email marketers alone. So, in terms of the usual symptoms, how do you realize that you have a spam problem, right? That is very important because otherwise you don't even realize that there could be something like this going on, and you will always be misinformed about it or ignorant about it. So the first thing that you understand if you have been sending regular emails to your subscribers or your customers, then sudden drops or gradual drops in your email engagement over time uh, are very usual symptoms for email spam. Your users complaining about their mails landing in spam or not receiving their mails at all, right? Which you would have sent from a tool or from your inbox. These are some early symptoms uh, that you can see and predict that there is a spam problem in your domain or in your company. A more severe problem would be a mailing platform outright banning you from using them, suspecting massive spams from your company. And that is when your marketing team is already in panic. They are, throwing blames left, right, and center, and your your marketing can almost come to a grinding halt because of this. Because one of the most important channels for communication, email, is not being allowed, right? So these are some very, these are some very important or serious symptoms that you should think about uh, when sending out mass emails or doing email marketing for your company. So let's uh, get on to the laws. And I was watching this movie called Fight Club a few weeks back, and I thought that this can be a good movie to take inspiration from. What I wanted to do, and I had been attempting, was a WhatsApp group for email deliverability professionals in India, because this is a very niche set of people, like maybe a couple of hundred people in India who are expert in this. And what I was trying to come up with was a term for this, right? And Fight Club gave me a good idea of how to go about it. Uh, so I first made some laws, like the 7 laws that we will discuss in this presentation, and I kind of rearranged them and got got an abbreviation called Air Club, right? Nothing to do with the movie, of course, right? But yeah, these are just 7 laws which govern email spam and email deliverability across the globe, uh, and following these will lead you to the best uh, inboxing rate, if you call it, for your emails, and not following them will definitely cause some or the other problems in your emailing practices. So let's get on with the first law of the Air Club. So this is authentication, uh, meaning that in just terms of a club analogy, just uh, think of bouncers in front of the club who will allow you in only if you have a valid identity, right? So inbox providers, say like Gmail or Yahoo, these are similar, very similar to these bouncers who are always keeping a track of who is mailing to whom, and just think of it that they are always looking for legitimate people and companies sending mails to their subscribers, right? So if you don't look legitimate to them, and if you have some kind of an identity problem, beyond a point they will stop delivering your mails to the inboxes. In early cases they might uh, send it to the spam box, and in extreme cases it can even be not delivering those mails at all and rejecting your mails altogether, right? So these are like I said, somebody had mailed me by the name of Donald J. Trump, and with his email ID from the White House. So how is this possible to begin with, right? How can you make sure that somebody is not imitating you or pretending to be you on the web and over email? So the problem is that mailing works on something called Simple Mailing Transfer Protocol, SMTP in short, and is an open protocol since 1970s. And this is what is used to form your email body, the different headers like your from name, your from address, the to address, which address to reply to, and what are the different sections of the mail, right? How a mail looks. All of this is defined under this open protocol called SMTP. So, because it's a standard protocol, anybody can copy this, right? Anybody can copy the looks of a mail and send it out. So there is no actual restriction on uh, who can send mails to whom. Okay, just let it sink in a bit, because this is a very important problem that all the all the mailing providers are trying to battle. And uh, so basically what happens is that uh, I'll give you an example. So in our college in BTech, we had this course called networking, and this is where we first learned that SMTP is an open protocol, and anybody can send mails, posing as anybody else. And so what we did was we tried mailing to our hostel students, saying that uh, their hostel fees had not been paid for over 3 months, and if they do not pay in the next 48 hours, uh, they would be punished and they'll be evicted from the college for the next semester. And we did this posing as the director of the college, so everybody was in panic. It was like this prank just hit the roof, and what what happened thereafter was that some students even went to the ATMs to withdraw money in panic, and on their way back we just informed all of them that okay, this was a prank, and that was the end of that. I mean, we got a lot of accusers for this, but yeah, but it was an important lesson for us uh, that this could be a real life problem, just like the one I showed you. And to battle this, multiple technologies have come in the past and are being implemented in the present to stop this from happening. So, in order for you to make sure your authentication is right, I would ask you to get in touch with your email marketing tool and your IT team for checking out the different authentication techniques that you're using for your emails, and look out for the via address that I showed you in the previous mail. So if you are sending via a tool, the tools domain or any other random domain, then I would suggest you to do something called a whitelisting with whatever tool you're using. So that will make sure that your mails are not having any identity crisis and having the right authentication. So the next law, the second law is IP reputation and domain reputation. So just in terms of the club analogy again, say our club here, it runs on the reputation of people, and if you are not reputed enough or you're not known in the club, then you will not be allowed, right? You will not be allowed to enter. Very similar thing happens with emails, and you are required to have your IP and your domain well reputed in order to send mails, right? It's a very vague term, how to maintain reputation, but basically you will have to keep sending engaging emails to your audience and make sure that people don't feel that you are spamming them at any point of time. Some of the means through which you can check IP reputation or domain reputation are mentioned here, like Score, which is a global authority in IP reputation and domain reputation. So they give you a score from 0 to 100 on how, and that determines how good your IP or your domain is. There are postmaster tools which each of the, I mean, inbox providers like Gmail or a Yahoo, they maintain on their site, and that is what is used to determine whether the incoming mail is spam mail or a regular mail or a high engaging mail. So your activity is being monitored by everybody who is receiving emails. So so basically, this IP reputation or a domain reputation is still slightly old standard, and it's sort of phasing out. Why is this? Because IP reputation is something that was introduced almost 20 years ago, and for the mailing practices back then and the mailing behavior back then, it was kind of sufficient. But the amount or the volume of mails that go out every day, which are in hundreds of millions, for that kind of a volume, this is just not sufficient enough. People will always find a different way to spam and a different service to spam with. So what is more referred to these days is the domain reputation or the content and some other things that I'll mention in the next few laws, right? So if you want to, understand what your IP reputation and domain reputation are, just go to the sender's core domain. I'll link it in the resources, and you can check your server's IP reputation and your domain's reputation, and make sure that you are in good shape. So the third law of our Air Club is regulations. Uh, just like regulations in any pub or a club, which doesn't allow for underage drinking or drinking and driving, there are regulations out there maintained by governments and unions, and maintained for different industries alike, right? And these are some regulations that carry with them penalties as well. So let me just describe one of them. The most referred to regulation in email is the Can Spam Act. And it is one of the oldest regulations that came out, which says that if you are mailing to more than a prescribed number of people at the same time, you need to have a mechanism for people to unsubscribe from your emails. And you also need to add your physical address inside your email, and or a disclaimer for it, right? And this is a very common and widely used uh, regulation, and every email marketing tool sort of mandates it. Okay, so by regulation, what I mean is that these are not just recommended practices. These are these are these are these will incur penalties. Like if you are sending to people without adding any unsubscribe link inside your mail, then you will invite yourself a penalty of $16,000 if the case moves to court, right? And just think if there are thousands or even hundreds of thousands of such subscribers coming to you and complaining that you do not have this mechanism, then your penalties could be in millions or even billions, right? So there are some other more strict regulations out there for different regions, like the GDPR for the European Union, CASL for the Canadian for Canada, and uh, these basically make sure that the way to unsubscribe for any user is kind of even easier than how you subscribe to your emails in the first place. So basically, how a person comes in to your email list is possibly by giving you an email ID on your website, right? So you'll have to make sure that the unsubscribe mechanism is even simpler than that. What they recommend, or what these regulations recommend people to do, is to add an unsubscribe single click unsubscribe link in your email addresses, so that as soon as a person clicks on it, they are automatically unsubscribed from your email list, and that is easier for them than an opt-in mechanism. So those were some of the recommendations that regulatories have while emailing. Right, let's go to the next law of Air Club, which is called cleanup. Just like in any pub or a club where you have a dress code and you are not allowed to enter without pants or shoes. You're not allowed in slippers or shorts. There are cleanup recommendations for all the email marketers out there, and these are some of them. The first one is an opt-in mechanism. So this is the means of obtaining email IDs for your subscribers. How you do this is by having an opt-in form on your website, or a login or sign up form on your website. and you keep a, a record of all the people who have been engaging over the last X number of months, and and have been opening your emails or have been visiting your website. So this activity is called list cleaning, wherein all the people who have not been a part of your active customers in a long while, say for 6 months, these people have not visited your website or have interacted with you. You'd rather stop sending them mails. Why is that? Just consider you being on the other side, right? Receiving these mails and uh, say you have not interacted with a company, say even SendX, for example. Somebody has not interacted with us in the last 6 to 12 months. How would he feel? Just getting marketing emails or newsletters every day or every week or every month. That just feels that, like the sender does not care about the subscriber anymore. They just keep sending mails regardless. So that is an activity which is again seen as a negative connotation towards your email practices. And inbox providers are watching the engagement on your emails, and if there are issues with that, then what will end up happening is that less and less mails will start going to the inbox. They'll start going into the spam. So the spam problem is not always 0 and 1, right? Like not all your mails, if you're a spammy sender, not all of your mails necessarily will go to the spam box. And if you're a good sender, not all of your mails will necessarily go to your inbox. So it has started becoming a process wherein they say, if I'm a Google, I know that Agni has been opening only, say, emails for the Man Company or a particular other e-commerce website, and not for Amazon or Flipkart or any other company, right? So these are the mails. Then it will start deprioritizing into the inbox. So now there is priority in your inbox. There is different tabs in your inbox. These are all maintained for a segregation of these concerns that when you are not opening certain kinds of promotional campaigns, then very likely you would not open the next promotional campaign as well. But say in case you are opening some transactional mails, then they might come into your priority inbox. So now the behavior is turning into uh, decision-making parameters for the inbox providers, and that is becoming very important for email marketers everywhere to take care of. Yeah, I mean, keep cleaning your list every uh, few months, like 3 to 6 months, and cut the fat, cut the people out who have not opened your mails in the last 6 months or so. Also, uh, have something called a double opt-in mechanism for subscribing, which means that you'll have to send them a confirmation mail that they have actively or deliberately, subscribed into your emails or newsletters or whatever kind of communication that you want to send, and mention those details there and let them confirm that yes, they have actually subscribed to your mails. That makes sure that at least for the next few months, they know that they will be, receiving these mails, and they will not be. Uh, I mean, this is something that they have opted in for, right? So this is something that you can maintain on your side if you are uh, managing email lists. The next law, the law number 5, is limits. So uh, just like in a club, there is a time to close down, right? You cannot stay beyond, say, 12 in the night, or you cannot have more than uh, three three drinks on the cover charges. So there are limits to what you can do in a pub, uh, and very similar are the limits with the email sending behaviors. So basically, over time, there have been a lot of terms or keywords used to fool people, and these are termed as spam keywords in the modern terms. And these are terms like, say, gambling, make money online, or uh, 100% discount or 100% free. These kind of terms generally have uh, a tendency of fooling people in many segments, and that's why if you have these kind of terms inside your email content, then there is a higher likelihood that these mails can get into spam, because just because that these words exist in your mail. Then uh, there are restrictions on how many number of mails you can send at once, say, or in a single day. For example, if you have started sending mails just yesterday, right, and you are trying to send it to 1 lakh or 100,000 people, right, you cannot do it. You cannot do it as a single company. So what they recommend is, you start slow. You start sending maybe 500, 1,000 on the day one, and slowly increase from there until you have, made yourself credible enough to send 100,000 mails. You will not be allowed to send what are called mailing blasts in India, and basic mailing blasts are nothing but these cold mails to unknown people who you have never contacted before, and you're sending like a massive campaign to these people, right? So a lot of companies in our early life cycle had come to us asking for a requirement like this, and initially we wanted to support them. We wanted to see if we can help them out, but it is just not possible. There are limits on the number of links or URL website links that are on your email content. If you have like 15 different links inside your email content, then that is highly likely going to be sent to spam. Then there are principles of sending. I mean, to manage this, there are principles of sending to the right people the right content at the right time. A very good example of this is the movie named Contagion, which I saw. Actually, I re-saw a few months back when the COVID pandemic started. So it talks about a pandemic very similar to this, and the situation that people face in that. But this movie was created and produced in 2011, and even just 9 years back, right? People had no idea that pandemics can go this bad and how it makes people go crazy. I think it would have made a big hit if it were just released in 2020 or early 2020 even, and people would have really appreciated what they had done. And it's unfortunately a 6.7 IMDb rated movie, right? So if you don't uh, release content to the right people and at the right time, uh, then you will probably have a lower retention, a lower likability to that content. Uh, so that is one thing that is recommended. Then the bounce limit. So uh, there is a limit on the number of invalid emails that you can have on your list. Uh, if you have more than 3%, for example, so say if you have a campaign that you're sending to 10,000 people and 1,000 of those email IDs are invalid. This could be even small things like typos in their emails, or the some kind of bot attacking your website in some way, and you have inadvertently added a lot of wrong emails or invalid emails. But if they are a significant portion of your email list, then very likely you will be your campaign will be hampered. Say if you have 10% hard bounces or invalid emails in your list, then more than 40% of your mails won't even deliver, right? The same goes with spam. So if people are marking your mails as spam, And when I say people are marking, it is as low as 1 in 2,000 people who are marking your mails as spam, and then you will be considered as a spammy sender, and that is a very big problem which you need to address immediately. So for all of these limits, right, it's very hard to keep it as a principle that you can't always maintain uh, the bounce limits and the spam limits. It's not all the time is it in your hands. So what you will have to do then is to go back to your marketing tools, analyze your emails, analyze your campaigns, and see what is the bounce percentage in general is. How many people are marking your mails as spam? Is it significant? And should you be doing something about it? What you can do again there is to segment the users to send only uh, to a part of your user base a particular mail who would likely be interested in it. Say somebody who is going to an e-commerce website can have a variety of requirements. Say somebody is looking for mobile phones or somebody is looking for fashion. These two are probably very different kinds of people, uh, or sometimes even the same people, right? So if if you do not segment these people properly, again, you'll have problems, and that is what our next law talks about, which is use case separation. So it is very similar to how you have different vibes in a club on different nights. Say there's a ladies' night, there's a Bollywood night, there's a happy hour, right? So all of these have a different feel to it in the club, and people behave differently to them, right? There are certain kind of people who enjoy a happy hour where there are very few people and you just get some free booze. And on Bollywood nights, you're just going there to dance, right? If somebody is looking for some alone time on a Bollywood night, he's probably making a grave mistake, right? So the same thing goes with the use case separation on the uh, uh, the the mailing domain as well. So uh, your your emails might be used for many different purposes. Their uh, requirements and even the teams which are handling them will be different. So just like I was saying in the beginning, your one kind of marketing mail can end up affecting many different kinds of mails. And so let me just describe what the general prioritization is, right, of emails. And these are personal mails, one to one mails that happen from one colleague to another or from one person to another person in a different company. Uh, then there are transactional mails which are very important for, say, just like tracking shipment or a bill or something very similar to that, say a bank transaction that you did. Then there are sales follow-ups for all the mails that go after somebody has started interacting with you as a follow-up, and once somebody is already a partner with you. Those kind of mails are very important because there can be a lot of meeting requests, there can be a lot of to and fro happening in those mails, which end up gaining which end up giving you a lot of revenue in the later stage or right then. And then there are promotional mails, which I think is one of those kinds of mails which can end up affecting, apart from the cold emails. Cold emails are the mails that you send to people that you have never interacted with before, with a catchy tagline or a subject line, and uh, these are generally considered a bad practice. So, uh, I mean, sending to people who you have never met before or conversed before. So these can end up affecting all the uh, other kinds of mails that I have talked about. And so that is when you can face situations like my personal mail going into spam or somebody else's or not delivering at all. So what you need to do in these cases is either maintain different domains. Say, like if you want to send newsletters to your audience, then what you would rather do is have, say, say if I am SendX, and then I can say that I send my newsletters from sendxletters.io or some other domain. Or what is suggested now is that you have separate subdomains, and by subdomains, what it means is that, say, a marketing mail can go from marketing.sendx.io, and which will be having a very different domain reputation compared to just sendx.io. So that is something that we learned through practice in the last 1 year, that this does improve people's mailing. And that's something we have even prescribed some of our Indian friends out here. So yeah, that is something that you can do. Either purchase very similar named domains so that at least your brand value is not diluted, and or use subdomains to send different kinds of emails. Then comes the last law, but it's a very, very important law. It's sort of, uh, you know, uh, trailing signal. It's not a leading signal of your spammy behavior. So it's called blacklists. So just consider blacklist in a club, that if your name appears in the blacklist of the club, you are thrown out of it, right? Very similarly, email blacklists work in domains and IPs, and based on their reputation they determine their reputation and do affect a lot of mails that are being sent out. So how can you get blacklisted, right? You have been, say, sending to 10,000 people, and suddenly one day your email marketing tool or your marketer comes and tells you that, we are blacklisted on 3 different blacklists. How did that even happen? So the origins of blacklists are something called spam traps. Okay, these are email IDs which are designated to be used to report spammy activity to blacklists. So there are about, say, 250 odd global blacklists out there, and there are internal blacklists maintained inside the different inbox providers like Gmail. So what happens is that, say, there is an invalid email ID, right? But it exists and keeps receiving mails from you. So what it uses these mails for is not to, send, let somebody read it, but to actually monitor some some IP or some domain which is sending those mails. So basically, if I have such a mail ID and I keep receiving 50 or 100 different mails on, say, in the last 1 week, then what I will know is that, okay, this is a defunct mail, nobody is using it, but I'm still getting mails on this. And that clearly tells you that, okay, there's some kind of bad behavior happening, and this person is not cleaning their list properly, or they have obtained this list from some ill-reputed uh, vendor, right? So otherwise, this email ID would never have appeared in their list. Like, nobody is going to to a website and adding this email ID as a subscriber, right? And that is how spam traps come into being and get. Your your IP, or your domain gets blacklisted. So how you come to know of any blacklisting, right, is very important. when you are seeing some kind of a sudden decrease in engagement. Say, for example, you were having a 30% open rate on your emails previously, and suddenly one fine day you have 5% on the same mail from the same vendor and from with similar, very similar message in your content. What likely is the problem would be a blacklist. You would have got uh, you would have got blacklisted somewhere, and that is what is not letting your mails to go to inboxes. So how can you get back to the blacklist, and how can you improve your chances of entering inboxes is firstly through delisting. So a lot of these email blacklists allow you to delist from them by giving a reason that, okay, this is what I have changed, right? I was sending to say a lot of unwanted mails before or inactive mails before. So I have cleaned them from my list, and now I'm sending it to only my current subscribers and active users. Uh, and basically, after giving that the reasoning, they will delist you from their blacklists. There are some blacklists which don't allow you to delist yourself, uh, and they will keep monitoring your you know behavior, and if it is consistent and is improving, then they will automatically delist you from themselves. So that is how you can uh, get better open rates or engagement back. So that is blacklist. And so these are the seven laws that we have formulated for email spam. So, as an exercise for you to perform, we have come up with a sheet comprising of all the seven laws that I've described, and the various tools that we internally use, and which you can use for yourselves to, you know, assess the impact of these different laws on your email marketing, and you'll be able to better know what are your chances of entering your subscribers' inboxes rather than spam or not delivering them at all to their mailbox. Uh, so this is added as as a resource at the end of this presentation, which the Your Story team will, uh, I mean, will be able to distribute to you. And when you submit it to us at our exhibition or to my email address, agni@sendx.io, I'll add it in the description as well. Uh, you will be officially welcome to the Air Club, uh, which will be certified by us, and make sure that you are no longer spammy. So with this, we come to the end of my masterclass. Hope you had a good time. Uh, all the best. Thank you.